What if I told you that one of the longest running mysteries on the oldest Anarchy server in Minecraft has finally been solved because of sheep? I'm not joking. Specifically, this group of sheep right here, located 2 million blocks away from spawn on 2b2t. Their existence actually proves that many years ago, one of the server's most powerful players not only placed command blocks on the server, but used them, both of which shouldn't even be possible in survival mode. It confirms a rumor that we even speculated on in the past. All of this new information has only come to light because of one player's discovery of a highly unusual location. This find has rocked the server's history, as it's proven that the stories about its most powerful player were not exaggerations, they were real. Today we'll discuss how one of 2b2t's longest running mysteries was finally solved, and how a group of livestock ended up being the key to unlocking the secrets behind a location that was only rumored to exist. It's nothing short of incredible. Before we get started, a big shout out to Raycon for sponsoring today's video. Whether I'm lifting or climbing in the gym, Raycons have been my go-to earbuds. The new everyday earbuds have an improved look and feel by using optimized gel tips. They're comfortable and they will not budge. Trust me. Not only are Raycons water resistant, but they can also be charged wirelessly. Raycons offer 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour battery life. They start at half the price of other premium audio brands, so no wonder they have over 50,000 5-star reviews. I found them to be very useful, so to get your own pair, click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/fitmc to get up to 15% off your order. It's a great way to support the channel. Now then, let's get started. So how did a group of sheep finally solve one of 2b2t's oldest mysteries, and why is this such a big deal? Well, I need to give you some backstory. In the earlier days of the server, a player named Pyrobyte had started making a name for himself. A gifted programmer and hacker, he would eventually go on to become the server's most powerful player thanks to gaining backdoor access to the server. He was able to do things a normal player could not. His gear had impossible stats, he was able to use infinites or stackable items that never run out, he could use spawn eggs and other illegal items wherever he went. The list goes on. There were even rumors that he could teleport, which was later proven to be true when his sign was found behind the world border. Pyrobyte was such a powerful player that the community considered him to be king of the server, a title no one has taken ever since. But one day in early 2016, he would log off the server, never to be seen again. He had become 2b2t's most powerful player and then walked away. This sudden disappearance would only contribute to Pyro's legendary status, and for years afterwards, people speculated on just how powerful he had actually been, and if a stash existed where all of his illegal items were kept. When a screenshot eventually leaked of Pyrobyte's command blocks, it raised questions on if Pyro had ever physically placed them or even used them. For years, it would remain speculation. But in 2020, something very unusual would be discovered that would eventually prove that Pyro was far more powerful than anyone had expected. One of the server's most highly skilled base hunters, Courier6, was searching for chunk trails in the Nether. In Minecraft, when you explore a world, you create a trail of loaded chunks. When using a hack client, unloaded chunks are represented by red squares, so it's possible to follow a trail that someone has already traveled. This technique has been used for many years to find old bases, and Courier had been looking for one of these trails in the Nether. He had been exploring around 250,000 blocks away from Nether spawn when he suddenly came across a portal. When he stepped through, he found himself 2 million blocks out in the overworld and was baffled by what he saw. Surrounded by modern world generation was a giant square of ocean, but it had generated in an earlier version of Minecraft. The ocean floor consisted of dirt, sand, and clay, which means it had to have generated in 2013 or earlier. There were no chunk trails leading to this ocean in the overworld, and the nether chunks were modern, so Courier suspected that someone had teleported to this area many years ago. Even weirder things were happening in the terrain surrounding the ocean. There were absolutely massive groups of livestock everywhere, especially sheep. There were so many that on Courier's mapping software, you could actually see all of the grass that had been eaten by them. Large groups were even swimming in the water. But after finding all of these animals, they began to quickly disappear. This implies that they had not been created through breeding. They had spawned naturally. And on 2B2T, having this many passive mobs spawn in the same place should not be possible. He took as many screenshots as he could of the large groups as they continued to vanish. He also noticed singular blocks were missing from the terrain, which implies that Endermen had been removing them, which is their programmed behavior. It was clear that something unnatural had happened here. Courier theorized that the server's admin, Housemaster, must have used the area as a testing ground, as there was seemingly no other explanation for this place to exist. He documented the entire area, saved the coordinates, and then continued on his way. For 2 years, this location was kept a secret as Courier searched for answers. But in 2022, the truth about this strange area would finally be revealed. Courier had been speaking to longtime player Jack the Ripper, a famous base builder and one of the only people to have held and screenshotted one of Pyrobyte's command blocks. When Courier had brought up the strange region he had found, Jack revealed something absolutely shocking. It turns out that Courier had found the location of Pyrobyte's legendary stash, a place that most doubted was actually real. What you are seeing here are screenshots taken by Pyro that have never fully been released to the public. It shows command blocks physically placed at the stash, which is built entirely out of bedrock. Pyro would teleport to and from this stash on a regular basis, keeping his most valuable items here. He even had a collection of player heads, with some being so rare that they aren't even in circulation in the underground illegal items market. In one of the screenshots, the coordinates of this stash can be seen, and sure enough, it was the exact same location that Courier had stumbled upon. The old ocean terrain even matches up with the screenshot. Suddenly, to Courier, it all made sense. The sheep! They were the key to all of this. The only way for that many animals to spawn naturally on 2B2T is if the server's tick speed was drastically increased, and the only way you can do this is through commands. Normally, a command block cannot be placed or interacted with in survival mode, but with Pyrobyte's backdoor access, running those commands would have been easy. There's no other explanation for how so many naturally spawning mobs could exist on a server that usually limits them, and how Endermen could have removed so many blocks from the terrain in a short amount of time. And since all of this took place when 2B2T's player count was in the single digits at times, a change in tick speed would have gone unnoticed by the player base. So this was not Housemaster's testing ground, it was Pyro's, proving he was far more powerful than we originally knew. I always wondered how Pyrobyte seemed to just show up at spawn with powerful items whenever he wanted back in the day, especially during the incursions, but now it all makes sense. Since the physical stash itself was missing when Courier found the location in 2020, it's likely that Housemaster removed it, as he often does with illegal items. But it's also possible Pyrobyte himself removed it to cover his tracks before disappearing. Regardless, this mystery, which I've even brought up in previous videos, has now finally been solved. Command blocks were not only placed on the server, but seem to have been used as well. It's wild how a group of sheep were the key to solving one of 2B2T's biggest mysteries, and changing the server's history forever. If you enjoyed this video today, make sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and follow my socials. So take it easy, Fit Fam, and stay alive out there.